Students, and welcome to this session. Today again we'll be doing one more grammar topic, a revision, that is figures of speech. Now let's begin with what are figures of speech. A figure of speech is a word or expression used in an imaginative way to make a special effect. It gives some kind of a special effect to the expression that we are trying to put in. So it is a special imaginary expression which gives a special effect. These are generally used by a lot of poets in their poems so that the poems are more effective. It possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. Okay, there is a hidden meaning involved in each of these figures of speech. Now let's look at the different types of figures of speech. We have done this already in our lesson videos earlier that have been sent to you. Notes have also been given to you. So we'll just brush up quickly a revision of each type of figure of speech. So here we will see what is the definition and one example of each of the type of figures of speech. So the first one here is simile. What is simile? It is a direct comparison between two objects. There is a direct comparison. You can see the example here. The soldier was as brave as a lion. So here there is a comparison between the soldier and the lion. Second one is metaphor. This is an indirect comparison between two objects. It's an implied simile. There is no direct relation mentioned. Okay. For example, all the world is a stage. So the world, things in the world is compared to a stage. Okay. So there is an indirect comparison. The next one is personification. Here, inanimate objects or abstract ideas are given a human quality. For example, Death lays his icy hands on the king. So this is, you give a human quality to some kind of a inanimate object. This is icy hands. Okay. The next one is apostrophe. Here there is to address someone absent, dead, or a non-human as if that thing is present. So you are directly addressing someone who is dead or not existing or some kind of a non-human personality. For example, O nature, thou art my goddess. Here there is a direct address to the nature. It's a little different from your exclamation, where exclamation explains your attitude, your expression. Okay, so here there is a direct address to someone. The next one is antithesis. When opposite ideas are placed in the same sentence, there are opposite things placed in a same sentence to give it a better effect. For example, our loss is your gain. So loss and gain are opposites which are in the same sentence. We have another epigram, a brief pointed saying or frequently used idea. This is somewhat related to antithesis. He makes no friends who never made a foe. So again here friends and foe are opposite ideas which we generally put into together. Okay, moving ahead, the next one is oxymoron. This is a special form of antithesis where two contradictory qualities are put together. There are two contradicting qualities. For example, you can see here, Jack was the wisest fool. It's explaining about Jack. The qualities put in is wisest fool. So wise and fool are contradicting. So the qualities are here contradicting to the when it is put together. So Jack was the wisest fool. Next is irony. The words used are such that the meaning is contrary to what the real situation is. Something different. It is different from what exactly the situation is. Like for example, I can't wait to read the 700-page report. Here there is some kind of an anxiety to read something or read something. So the expression here is I can't wait to read the 700-page report. Moving forward, students, the next one is euphemism. Replacing a word or phrase with another to make it sound less offensive. So you are telling something in a very positive way. Some kind of a negative thing you are telling. You are telling me a fairy tale. Your fairy tale is a positive thing, but actually speaking, the meaning here is it's a lie. You're telling a lie. So to make it sound less offensive, you use these kind of phrases. The next one is litotes. It is an affirmative conveyed by the negation of the opposite. Okay, just read this properly. It is an affirmative conveyed by the negation of the opposite. So example is the man is no fool. No is the negation and the opposite given is fool. That means the man is very clever. These are used to improvise or give a very poetic effect to the poem by the poets. Moving forward, the next one is metonymy. So a word is replaced by something close to its original meaning. You replace a particular word. For example, the strings were praised for their excellent performance. The strings here means the violinists who were performing there. So they have replaced the word here. Then we have is synecdoche. Here a part is made to represent a whole or vice versa. For example, England lost by 6 wickets. Here England means the entire team. Team had lost by 6 wickets. It's not the country, it's the entire team of England who lost by 6 wickets. Okay, I hope you're following it. The next one here is alliteration. As you all know this very well, repetition of the same letter. The tiny ships on the shiny sea. Okay, the letter S is repeated. Similarly, repetition, the same word is repeated. Home, home, sweet home. The word home is repeated here. You have onomatopoeia, words used to imitate sound. Okay, her bracelets made a tinkling sound. So, tinkling is the figure of speech out here. Here we have used this to imitate some kind of a sound. Then you have hyperbole. Here a statement is exaggerated. You overstate something, you exaggerate something and say. For example, I called her 1,000 times but she never looked back. So 1,000 times. You don't call someone 1,000 times. You might have called her a number of times. So there is this expression is exaggerated here. So it is hyperbole. Then we have tautology, which is repetition of an idea in different verbs. Okay, it's like synonyms. She listened motionless and still. So motionless and still mean the same, but it is used in the same sentence. Then transferred epithet. An epithet, that is an adjective, is transferred from its proper word to another that is closely associated in the sentence. They knelt down with angry prayers. They were angry here, so but they have transferred it to the prayers. So angry is transferred to the prayer. So this is transferred epithet. Another one here we have is assonance. This is similarity in sound between vowels in the middle of the neighboring words. Like the morning dew was wet and set in the ground. So wet and set. Okay, the vowel sounds are repeated here. Then we have consonants. Similarity in sounds between consonants in the middle of the neighboring words. Like Mike likes his new bike. This is generally seen at the end of the words. So Mike, bike, they have similar sounds. This is consonants. And then we have anaphora. It is a repetition of a word within a text to emphasize a particular point. For example, my life is my purpose. My life is my goal. My life is my inspiration. So here my life is repeated in all the three sentences, as you can see. So it is emphasizing the fact, a particular point. Here it says about my life is. Okay. So these are the figures of speech you need to know very well. Go through these slides, go through your lesson videos also. Okay. Now let's see some examples, what kind of questions may be asked. You could be asked to pick out the figure of speech, identify the figure of speech. Okay. Laughter holding both her sides. Now here, as you can see, the options given. Which could be the perfect one? Here laughter is given a human quality. So it is personification. Okay students. Let's see one more example. I walked 1,000,000 miles to get here. So there is a over exaggeration. There is an exaggeration in the statement. So what could be the correct option here? It is hyperbole, where there is exaggeration of the statement. So I hope you are clear with these, the kinds of figures of speech and the types that can come for your exams. So now students, let's now revise a part from your writing skills. We'll start with the revision of story writing now, which you have for your exams. We have done this revision earlier also. So let's brush up. What is a story? It is written in the format of a narrative. It narrates an incident with its associated happening. So it's written as a narrative kind of a thing. You're narrating an incident. Okay. The purpose of writing a story is to improve creative and imaginative thinking. So you are able to put in your creativity and imagination in this. There are fictional narratives based on the beginning or outline, hints, clues, verbal or visual given in the question. So you can get any of these, wherein the beginning is given, the outline is given, a hint is given, clues are given, and pertaining to that you will make or develop a story. Now let's see what are the main elements of the story. First of all, it is theme. Okay, theme means the main idea, what you are putting forth in the story. The main idea of the story comes under the theme. Then you have the plot. Plot is the logical sequence of events that are taking place in the story. What events are taking place? It could be a adventurous plot, a scary plot, a comical plot, etc. Okay. Moving ahead, next is setting the background or location. Okay, what is the location where you are trying to put in your characters in the story? It may be realistic or fictional. We have the characters which play a very important role in the story. The person around whom the story generally revolves. It may be people, it may be animals, it may be any other living creatures, some creatures that are imaginary. So whatever it is, there is some character that is involved in the story. So characters also play a very major role. You have the mood of the story, that is, it may be a cheerful mood. You may create a story wherein the mood is very happy, joyful. It may be tensed, scary, etc. Okay. Climax, of course, here climax, it should be really interesting. Climax is the highest point wherein it reaches a kind of a suspense that creates in the story. It is the highest point in the story. This leads to the conclusion of a story. So your climax has to be really interesting. Okay students, so those were the elements of a story that you will be developing. So now let's quickly understand the points to remember. The start of the story must be interesting. Focus should be on the incident. Frame the story keeping in mind the central character. I hope you are understanding these. Build the plot well, leading to an interesting climax, and then arrive at a proper conclusion. So you have to build the plot, the sequence of events, get an interesting climax, and then arrive at a conclusion. Add twists and turns to develop the reader's interest. Your story must be interesting so that the reader is interested to read it. They want to read it. What happens next? Always write the story in the past tense. You will use only past tense in your story, no other tense. You can't use present tense in your story. Stick to the limit of 150 to 200 words. Like, you don't exceed this, don't make it too lengthy because it will become very boring then. Keep the language simple. Use very simple language. Make sure to give an appropriate title to the story. Yes, this is very important. You have to give a titles to the story. Add a moral message, if any, at the end of the story. If there is a proper moral or a message that can be given to any story, do add it. You have to conclude it with that particular moral or message. Write the story in 3 to 4 paragraphs. You have to divide your story into 3 to 4 paragraphs. Okay, students? So the format of your story would be something like this. The title, an interesting start, building the plot and reaching the climax, a justified conclusion to your story, and give a message or moral, if any, if you can. It's expected you give a moral to every story that you write. Okay, so this is your format. You can get questions based on the format also in your exam. So go through these videos really well. So now, as you can see, this picture here, the graphical representation of story writing, this is very important. So this covers everything that you need to know regarding your story. Okay, so first we have the exposition. You can see point 1 there. This is the beginning of the story. This introduces the conflict, the character, the setting. All this comes in the exposition part, where your beginning of the story must be consisting of these things. So you have to introduce your story. So this is called exposition. Okay, it includes conflict, character, setting. Moving ahead, the second point is rising action. So the events before the climax. So you have the characters attempt to solve the problem but fails. So there is some kind of an action that has been started by the character you're trying to explain. So it could be any kind of story. Okay, then third is the climax. This is the turning point or the point of greatest suspense or action. So at this point it reaches the peak. Your story reaches a point where the readers are also interested as to what happens next. So there is a suspense created. There is a lot of action taking place here. So this is an important part of your story. Okay, there is the plot you can see in between. It is a structure or organization of events that make up a story. The entire thing, the exposition, the rising action, the climax, all depends on your plot. What kind of a sequence of events you are creating in your story. The fourth point is falling action. Action and events that occur after the climax. Immediately after the suspense, the things are getting sorted out. So again there are a series of events. So that is called falling action. Finally, the fifth point is the resolution, which is the end of the story where the conflicts or problems are solved. So there is a concluding part of the story is the resolution. So these are the 5 things that are very important in a story writing. Your plot must include all these 5 points. Plot is basically the logical sequence of events that are taking place in your story. So students, go through this particular diagram also really well, because they are very important. Lot of information about story writing given out here. So I hope students you have understood what it is. It's a revision. We have already sent you videos earlier of the lesson. There's already been a revision taken. There are notes provided to you. So do your paper well. Go through these videos so that you can attempt these questions really well. Okay students, all the best. Thank you.